Welcome to the new World Compendium, the Dungeon Crawler Network podcast where there is no corruption, but we provide you with all the information. Come pull up a seat, grab a drink, and let's share our stories about Aeternum. I'm your host Arcaneer, and this is the first episode of the New World Compendium podcast about the Amazon's upcoming MMORPG, and I'm joined by two amazing people, starting with Storms Lord. How's it going, Storms?
Going good, Ark. How you doing?
I'm doing good as well. I'm excited about this. Also joining us, Sivian21. How's it going, Sivian?
How are you guys? Glad to be here.
Well, glad to have you here. Now, the first episode of a new podcast. It is my first from the scratch podcast that I'm hosting. For anyone joining us for the first time, joining a Dungeon Crawler Network podcast for the first time, we are a network of podcasts. We have Tales of Tamriel, which is an Elder Scrolls podcast, which I am hosting at the moment since the last 100 episodes or so. We have the From the Ashes of Creation podcast, which Storms is hosting, actually. And we have also now the New World Compendium. Now, we do also have some other podcasts that are on hold or just like wrapped up at this point, but the active ones are here. And this is the first podcast for Sivian, right, Sivian?
It is, definitely.
There you go. Well, I'm glad it is with us. I'm glad it is with us. So a quick round of introduction, if you guys want to as well. So I'm Arcaneer. I am a game developer, and I am doing a bunch of podcasts and running the Dungeon Crawler Network. Storms, want to tell
I'm Storms Lord.
Yeah.
And I'm at Storms Lord at Twitter. I'm also at DCN DungeonNetwork.com, and you'll find me around their Discord. I'm a game developer. I'm a worker. I'm a woodworker, and that's other stuff I do.
All right. You are also, unofficially, as I'm calling you, the tech master in DCN.
We'll call that if you want to. All right.
Well, I mean, you did do a bunch of our website stuff, as well as the Storms Tech Corner for quite a while. So
Don't let Storms fool you. He's our IT support. DCN IT support.
I have been coding since I was 10, so we'll say that. Oh, okay.
And Sivian, what about you?
I am Sivian. I am a avid gamer. I've definitely been enjoying games since 5 years old. I am in software sales, and I'm also part of the DCN community, and you can find me there.
There you go. Well, Sivian is also one of the council of the Hands of Fate Guild we have, but we will get to that in more detail later on, because it looks like we are going to be active in New World as well, at least to some degree. So more details on that will come soon. So that's who we are, that's what we do here at DCN, and we, during the preview event, we really enjoyed our time, so we decided, you know what, we may as well cover the New World as well, because it looks like a good number of us will be playing New World, so here we are.
Yeah,
with
I'm
the first
super
episode.
excited about it.
That was a lot of fun in that preview.
Yeah, it was. I honestly wasn't expecting that. So the density test, which is still under NDA, so we can't talk much about it. But the density test, I didn't have much time to play it. Like, I only got to play until level 10 or something like that. But in this preview event, I think I got up to level 30 or so. And once you get like more skills unlocked, more weapon stuff unlocked, get a bit better gear, get into PvP, it really did get a lot more fun. It was rough around the edges, obviously, but
It was rough, but they made a lot of changes since the first couple.
Yeah, Storms, correct me if you're wrong, but you and I were both playing, a year ago? In the alphas, which are also still under NDA.
yeah.
Significantly different. We can say this was a lot more fun.
I wholeheartedly agree.
A lot of fun.
It was.
Yeah.
And now, don't get me
that's
wrong,
good to
the
hear.
mechanics they had in the alpha were fun. But this was definitely a lot of fun.
All right. All
I
right.
really
Now,
like the
I
ability to choose to do PvP
Mhm.
in a settlement, and then if you didn't, when you're out, you didn't have to be involved in that because you didn't want to be.
Sure.
I
Sure.
really enjoyed that, right? Because if in one case I wanted to gather stuff, I was focused on culling some wolves. That's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to deal with some gankers, right? Well, I didn't have
Mhm.
to.
And that was a part of, the big debate, right? I mean, that's in the
Yeah.
forums. It's the PvE, PvP aspect of it. How people were, don't be a Care Bear game. I don't think they're going that route, right? You need to balance the PvE, PvP
Mhm.
aspects of it, for sure.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, and that's the load of experience they gave you when you went PvP. If you notice
Yep.
the missions that were PvP based, you got a ton of experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
balance that. I think they
Yeah,
balance that correctly.
I
Mhm.
agree.
And like, so I wasn't in alpha. I wasn't lucky enough to get the invite into alpha, but so some friends at work did actually get to play in alpha, and they were one of those people who were upset that the direction kind of changed from full on open world PvP to more like an opt-in style that we have now.
Mhm.
And initially they convinced me as well before the preview test and density test, before I even got to play at all. So I didn't have anything to gouge it. So they really convinced me that it was going to be bad. So I went with that mindset into the density test and then the preview test. But after playing it, I gotta say, I think I would have liked this better. Now, I can't say if that's actual because I didn't play in alpha, but even with the opt-in PvP, which actually, if you do PvP missions, it forces you to opt into PvP.
Yeah. Right.
I can kind of see how disastrous it could have been with just pure on open world PvP, and how it would kept a lot of people from like enjoying the game at all. Pretty much, unless you had like a, I guess, full on guild. If you were a solo player, a small group of friends, it did feel like without the opt-in PvP, you would have just suffered in the game.
Well, you wouldn't have gone in, right?
Yeah.
You would
Right.
have did it.
And without getting into
yeah.
the weeds, I mean, I think we can all agree that, or at least myself, right? I'll speak for myself here, but there really isn't a game out there that is strictly open world PvP, right? And I think the niche that was clinging on to that, I shouldn't say clinging on, but hopeful that the game was going to be developed as a full PvP, full loot. When they steered in the direction of going PvE, I think it let them down. They were really looking into that. But I personally like the way they went, but it was also, without breaking NDA, I could imagine being in an environment where you constantly have to look over your shoulder, right? You're
Yeah.
collecting wood, and it's you hear something. It's like, oh god, okay, I'm good, or it's I need to lay down and hide.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had the chance to actually see that part, like the full on PvP part, but it is what it is. I mean, it still felt like quite PvP focused during the preview event. So because I was initially looking at this game with hype because it was going to be PvP focused, and it still did feel PvP focused, and I got my butt kicked quite a lot when I was just like confident enough that I would run around with PvP on,
Sure.
or was trying to do PvP missions. It did get like quite PvP oriented at times. Now
let me ask you guys
Yeah.
this: do you think they're going to have a PvP server? You think they'll add that,
I
as in a designated
not.
PvP server?
And honestly, I hope they stick with this model they have, right? Where they wouldn't have that. Because I like the ability to pick and choose as I feel that day, right? So, like, take ESL for instance. I love the fact I can jump into IC now without traveling from Cyrodiil and just spend some time killing people left and right and having fun, but then jump out and go do some questing. And in this same thing, I can do some culling some wolves. I can do some what I'm doing, do some different quests, but then I can jump to a town, flick on PvP, and do some stuff there too. I don't have to jump to a different server. So to me, I like that.
I guess maybe I worded it wrong. So like keep the way these servers were in the preview, but have one dedicated server, say on NA East, NA West, EU, one dedicated server for PvP.
They have enough servers, but I don't know.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Amazon, they give it down there. I don't know.
And the thing about that is the reason I wouldn't want that is that's gonna drive all the hardcore PvP people to that server, and then you'll have the regular servers a lot less intense. So when you do want that intensity, you won't find the people to do it. Yeah, it won't be there. So.
And I agree with you guys. I don't think they should. I just was curious on your thoughts.
Yeah, I guess at this point trying to do that would be like making a second game for that. So I don't think they would do it either. But I would like for example, a zone, an entire area to be always opt in PvP. Like with the best, harvesting nodes, the best material.
That is interesting. Yeah.
The most important quests, like a single area in the entire map, sort of like Albion Online, if you think about it, like zone based.
You're flagged.
Yeah. So if you want that, I don't know, titanium mine,
cool.
You would have to go in PvP focused, and there would be a settlement there as well. In at least if I were doing it, if in my version, like in that zone, there would be a single settlement that controls that zone. So, like it wouldn't matter that much who owns the starting zone, settlement, whatever, which faction, but factions would really fight to get that single zone, which is always PvP enabled and has the best materials and things like that. So that would really make me enjoy the game a lot more, because then that gives an objective to everyone. It's like, for example, our guild, Hands of Fate, we'd be like, okay, we need to control that zone for the faction we are in. It doesn't even matter if we control it, we just need that under our faction's control, so our guild also can go there, farm materials and whatnot without getting killed constantly. So
that'd be cool if they added an aspect where. Sorry, go ahead, Storms.
What did you think? Thinking of with having a particular zone that was just PvP, right? What size would that need to be? Because they had 5 sectors, right? How big would that sector have to be?
I think. So. Hold on, let me pull up the map of New World real quick, if I can. I hope there's a there's a map of it on Google Images.
Was. I think we have it in our Discord.
Oh, I can't pull it up Discord, because if I do, I'll lose your cameras. So I have to find it on.
I'll pull it up.
Like the preview, because there are. I mean, we are gonna, I guess, talk about it as well. But the preview event map wasn't the full-sized map as far as.
Correct, and they were saying that's only 20%.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
What we saw was only 20%. Yeah.
Interesting.
Which is huge.
There we go. Okay, I found one.
Big map, especially without mounts.
I
what are
really
your thoughts
hope.
on that?
I really hope.
Worked.
I enjoy the non-mount, right? I enjoy the non-mount aspect of it, but I hope they add, say, like a caravan type system where, like a bus, if you will. So you get on it and it takes you from main town to main town, and you just get on it and just wait. Say it takes 10 minutes, 15 minutes, but you're not holding W.
I like that idea.
Or the whoopo. The life staff.
Oh my god, the amount I heard that yell throughout the preview when it was in my dreams. I mean, why does the character sounds surprised when you cast that spell. And every time I'm like, you are the one casting the spell. You should be expecting this by now. Because every time you cast it, whoa! Like, it's whoa, woo!
How about the audio mechanics?
Portals. You could hear them going from portal to portal to portal to portal.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
How about the audio mechanics, right? So if you had a helmet on, had a face shield, you hear like a muffled noise. Did you guys notice that?
No.
Yeah.
I didn't have a full helmet. I had like pirate hats throughout.
No, the engine they did. Right, so Lumberyard is the engine, right? Which is basically crypto, right? Or when is it? What? Yeah, crypto.
CryEngine.
CryEngine, that's it.
Yeah.
So they just leased it, bought it, whatever, right? And they did that one and they upped it. So this is the first really big game to come out with their new engine.
Yeah.
There's been a couple of small ones, but it had tremendous use of the engine.
And
now,
initially,
I can't believe some of the things they missed, but it's tremendous.
Yeah. And initially, like when New World was first announced, they were like, "Hey, we are using our new engine and things like that." I was like, "Oh man, this is just gonna be like a minimum viable product kind of game, just to showcase Lumberyard." That's what I initially thought, and then it evolved into this massive new MMO, and I'm quite happy about that.
I thought the same thing, and when we got into that alpha, I was blown away.
Absolutely.
I mean, I've been saying this on Twitter, but like I can just spend hours taking screenshots in this game without doing anything. Just pure run around, take screenshots. The world design, kudos to the team in environmental and atmospheric design. Is just beautiful.
Oh, it is going to be a front runner in game design. Visually for years to come.
Oh, it's gonna, for sure. Now, something that I wanted to ask you guys about, right? So the starter packs, you can buy, your standard edition. They just released a Steelbook edition as well, which comes with a physical map, and then the deluxe edition. And there's a lot of discussion going on about the Isabella's Amulet. Right, so this actually, and I'll read it off to you. Equip Isabella's Amulet to gain additional constitution to weather attacks and deal additional damage against certain types of supernatural enemies. And so a lot of people are saying this is pay to win.
Well, not necessarily. Like, is it better than items you can craft in the game? Is how I look at it. In terms of pay-to-win stuff. Like, if it can be crafted, say, 10 hours into the game, or it can be looted, say, 10, 15 hours into the game, it's not pay-to-win, in my opinion. Like, pay-to-win would be something that you can't achieve at all in the game. Like, I'm gonna give this artifact, and you are gonna nuke everyone who didn't pay this money, type of thing, would be pay-to-win, but if I can just craft something like that, or even something better, then it might be a nice head start, but is giving players early access for pre-ordering the game.
Sure, exactly. Yeah, and that was something that I mentioned on the forums was, what if, and we don't know, right? We have no idea whether Isabella's Amulet's, a top tier piece of jewelry, right? We have no idea. At least I don't. I haven't seen anything. And I was saying, what if it only gets you to level 20? And it really doesn't matter, right? Who cares?
Yeah. Also, I think it'll just be a level 1 item, sort of tier 1 item that gives, I don't know, maybe like 5 constitution, whatever amount of damage to, I don't know, corrupted, whatever. And
what if it's just the skin?
Yeah, could be, right?
I don't think so, because then they wouldn't have said it will give constitution and you will deal extra damage. I think it'll be an item.
Like you were saying, right? So if it's a beginner, right? 1 through 7, 8, 10 max is your kind of starting levels. I mean, what if at that point it can just be a skin? I don't know.
Are the
I'll be interested to see more about that.
were the amulets? Because I don't think I even got a necklace or anything amulet type in the time I played the game. I just had rings, I
got
think.
a ring. I never got to the amulet. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I got a ring as well. I only made it to 28.
Yeah, are the amulets visible in the game at all? Like when you equip them, do you actually have the amulet on your chest or something? Because if not, then having it as a skin doesn't really make any sense. What's it gonna be a skin for if the item doesn't show?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. But honestly, I think Amazon is too big a company and too public to do pay to win. Like I don't think they can afford the bad publicity from their first game because they are too out in the open. Everyone's eyes are fixed on the company. It's their first game, the Amazon Game Studios, this new initiative, and I really don't think they can afford to tank it. Not monetarily, but from a PR stand of like a PR point.
It's a huge pay to win. It's gonna blow over, right? If it's like, it'll give you a little bit for a little bit. Nobody's really gonna care. Yeah, the forums are gonna raise a stink, but really, unless it's gonna be like a more powerful than their freaking hatchet, nobody's gonna care. Hatchet was awesome, right? I mean, so it's really, you give me Isabella's hatchet, we'll talk. But Isabella's amulet, I'm not that worried about it.
I mean, the last, like in the last few days of the event, the meta was not having any gear on anyway. So
right. Well, speaking of the black eye, right? I mean, they don't want to put a game out there. How about the delay? I think that was in their absolute best interest was to delay this game.
Oh yeah. If this was released like it was in the preview event, oh my god. I
don't think it would have killed them.
Yeah, but like look at Elder Scrolls Online.
Now.
Look at Elder Scrolls Online. It took Elder Scrolls Online 2 years to recover from that few months of launch phase. Because it was very rough at launch and it suffered from it for years.
True.
Like people, even 3 years, 4 years into the game's life cycle, people were still watching like Angry Joe reviews from the first month of the game, saying the game is dead, and we were like, "Come on, it's been 4 years since then. Like the game has changed, but it still suffered so much." So if they had released as it is, I think they would have suffered in a similar manner for years to come. So I think it was a good decision to just delay the game.
Oh, I think it was a good decision, but yeah, it was. It'll work itself out. I think they'd definitely redo their quests. Is what I think they had to do.
Yeah, and I think I read something in the forums that even the devs understood that there wasn't a lot of lore and I guess quests in general, right? There really was no meaning to the quest, and they knew that, and they were definitely addressing that, which I think will bring us to that spring 2021 timeframe.
Yeah, we can tell they have the tools for building the areas, for building the instant. Let's call them, what are they? Areas of interest, right? Because they're not dungeons; they're areas of interest.
Yeah.
Well, they have tools for building all that. They have tools for building the different pieces. So now they can hire more folks that are artistic to build those, to build the paths, to build the scenarios, and build a quest. That's what they need.
Yeah. I mean, in the event, we just, I guess, had the code template of the quest system. Like they just put together a quest system. It had one template, which was kill 5 things, open 3 chests. It was painful after a while, like after you've done it 150 times. But
20 wolves, so it's repetitive.
That's when you switch it up. You do a PvP one, right? Put yourself on your toes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I did a lot of
PvP.
I did a lot of like town, like just gate PvP. Opened up my opt-in PvP thing, stood at the gate of a town, of a settlement, and just fought with people who were willing to do the same. Some duels, some just ganked up on you. It was fun and frustrating at the same time because the game needs balancing at the moment, which I guess we'll talk about as well. The hatchet is just painful. I refuse to use it. I religiously refuse to use the hatchet. I didn't even equip a single hatchet because of it.
Nope. I use a lot.
I was a sword and shield guy.
Yeah, I was sword and shield and hammer. I really wanted to do musket to sword and shield, but the fact that you can't weapon swap until you actually reload the musket kind of made me put away the musket. Like I thought I should at least be able to put the musket away without reloading it, and when I pick it back up, then I have to reload it.
Yep.
That was the problem.
Yeah, I think they will change that. I really do think, because it doesn't make any sense to have it that way. Like, oh, I can't put away this weapon until I reload it, which
it felt bad. It just felt bad. Even with going in for an attack, right? You go in for that special attack, and then you see that NPC coming up. You can't pull back off that attack. You're committed. You're done. Meanwhile, you're watching yourself get smacked, and you're like, oh, come on.
And like, I can understand not being able to. I can understand not being able to pull away from an attack with a hammer, for example, because that thing looks like it weighs 200 pounds. So yeah, you cannot stop that swing. That makes sense. Yeah. But a musket, I can just like stop. Right? Don't pull the trigger. Don't do the same with the bow. I can just stop doing whatever I'm doing because there's no momentum in it. So I think like weapon swapping between different type of weapons should have different speeds. Some of them should have the ability to cancel. It needs some work. It definitely needs some work in that regard. And
I think I enjoy the musket and the hatchet. That was my setup. I
love the musket,
and then I'd hit the hatchet.
The hatchet. That's my PvP bane, man. Every time I think about it, I just feel the frustration back again, because that stun lock they put you in, goodness me.
Well, especially with the heal off the berserk, right? So musket, then you hit the berserk, and then you usually heal as you're hitting them. You're healing, and then if you really raise up the berserk, you can't die when you're in berserk mode, which is just awesome, right? So it's like you just keep wailing. The more you're wailing, the better you are.
That hatchet, unless it's changed, it's gonna give a lot of people like carpal tunnel or whatever because of that light attack clicking. They will click away all day, every day for like 5 years.
Somebody will make a macro.
Sorry. Yeah, we haven't come up with a counter for that, but they will. There'll be a counter.
Oh, for sure.
I tried. I really tried. And I was sort of successful with a pure sword and shield, like no weapon swapping, just sword and shield, like very high focus on stunning and heavy armor. It kind of worked, but again, if you ever got into a stun lock, it's done. You're dead.
Sword and shield, I did 2 shots with the musket and then went in with the sword and shield. That's what I did. That third shot, right? It gave me enough time to reload.
Most of mine was PvE, so I was taking out the bigger ones with the heavy hit from the musket, right? A quick load, where the heavy load is. Heavy load for the musket, pack the musket again, run in with the hatchet, do a berserk just before you get there, and then you do the light attack and you swing at the same time. So not only are you doing a berserk, but you're doing the spinning swing at the same time.
Yeah,
right.
I take out 2 of the big bads at the same, right in succession to each other.
And the other one I did was I do 1 shot with the musket and then that leap, that forward leap with the sword.
Oh yeah.
And then the stab in the backslash. That killed any PvE really.
I never used backslash. I should have used it.
Backslash was good. That was good.
For PV, I was using Sword and Shield and Hammer. Hammer as my main thing. Sword and Shield as like more like a gap closer. So again, with the I would go in with the leap, which staggers most of the time, and use that stagger time to swap bars to the hammer, and just follow up with like gravel, shockwave, whatever, which is not like actually a lot slower than most other things, at least for PvE. The hammer, I mean, but it was the most fun to play with. Like it felt subpar compared to Sword and Shield and Hatchet or whatever. But it really had that, hit feedback to it, which I really love. That's actually one thing they...
I love the weight.
Yes, yeah. That's actually one thing they did really good.
Land an attack.
Yeah. Like you can actually feel the hit. So that's something, for example, is sort of missing in ESO, because ESO's combat is a lot more spammable. Because nothing has cooldowns, it's just resource management and spam everything. It has that hit feeling a lot less. It only is available on like some skills. For example, the Wrecking Blow from Two-Handed Greatsword skill line. But in New World, every hit does actually have that weighted feeling to it. So they really did a good job with that as well.
Well, it's all collision box. It's not tab targeted, right?
Yeah.
True,
All of
right.
ESO is tab targeted. So I know that, ESO, you'll have to look very carefully, but it won't turn a corner, but an arrow will follow you around a curve.
Yeah.
Right? Now in New World and Ashes, it's a collision. It's not a ray trace. It's going to go straight across. Right? So it's going to go straight to you. It's not going to follow you a little bit around a curve. So it's going to go this, right? And it's going to drop a little bit with gravity. So you have to be careful with the musket and with the arrows in New World and Ashes and Conan, actually. But you have to pay attention to drop and all that sort of thing. And one thing with Conan with the hammer, which I was fantastic with the two-handed hammer, is the spin. Right, and you could just spin and spin and spin with a hammer. I'd love, but you can't do that in New World. I sit there with Conan. As long as we had friendly fire turned off, I could just spin in circles and take out like 3 or 4 of the party if I wasn't careful, because I was just spinning and taking out the bad guys. I'd take out the party if friendly fire was turned on.
Could you imagine seeing somebody come around swinging that?
Oh, I know,
just
right?
spinning around in the circle, coming towards you. I'm out.
I'm done, man. It's huge.
So did you guys get into an invasion at all?
No.
The groups I was in, the server I was in, they're pretty dinky about it. They kept trying to bring in if you're 50 or above or in their group, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't just your server, my man.
Yeah, it was a lot of the at least from the comments I read, it was pretty much every server. Like I guess it's gonna be the norm, unless they do something about it. I don't know. I guess it's gonna be the norm that if you want to get into a war, either you are gonna have to have like a name to yourself. When they see you in that sign up page, they'll be like, "Oh, this guy kills people," and they'll be like, "Okay, let's get him in." Or you will have to be like in the settlements, whoever owns it, the guild. So you can
sign up.
So I think the way it works now is the declaring guild picks all 50. Is that correct? That's at least how I read it.
Yeah, and to me that's not right, because you're going to limit who gets to fight in those wars.
Mark, and I like the thing that you just said, right? So if you just had the name, right, and they didn't put your level next to it. So say a guild's able to pick 12, 15, right? They can pick 15 of their own people or whoever they want. But then you have to be known on that server, right, to be picked for that invasion. Yeah. I think that'd be pretty cool. Or just make it random. I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is, but it just, what it is now isn't right.
Yeah.
The one problem with random is that, say, okay, there are 2 guilds, they're about to fight, there's 50 people to be selected. One side's RNG could end up being very nice, and they have all these like 50 to 60 level players, And then the defending side's RNG is like my RNG, and everyone is level 3 with just like starting hammer in their hands and guessing what to do. So they have to, at that point, there needs to be some sort of matchmaking, balancing thing, but that's not always going to work either, if you are going to go with the random route.
Yeah, it can be some sort of matchmaking where it's got to be level appropriate.
True.
Right? So,
Yeah.
Or level bracket appropriate.
yeah.
Our gear has power level. So our characters have a total power level as well. So the system could go with use that power level to say one side will have a total of 50,000 power levels, and the other side will also be in like 40,000 to 60,000 power level range. So it could perhaps utilize that power level to come up with a randomized recruitment into invasions and battles.
Mm-hmm. No, I kind of like that aspect of it too, right? It keeps it balanced. So just, you don't necessarily have to be level 50. If you've got, top end gear and top end weapons, right? That's going to increase your level.
Yeah. And I mean, I would like to still give the guild the ability to choose some people at least. So maybe like 25 people the guild chooses, then 25 people are selected randomly. Because otherwise, what's the point of the guild at that point?
I think 25 is a good number.
Yeah, sort of like 50-50 separation. But as it is, a lot of people will never see the light of a war or an invasion, because there are going to be guilds that are hundreds of people just covering multiple settlements.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just going to happen.
Multiple, and I guess they're called companies, right? But they could form multiple companies, right? So if you have a 100-player cap, what's stopping them from being 3 companies?
Oh, in our server during the preview event, I think we had a company that was actually like 3 companies or something like that.
Correct.
I mean, Asmongold initially was in our server, and we picked up a server for the preview event, and
as DCN,
someone was
right?
As DCN, and someone was like, "Oh, so Asmongold just picked our server," and we were like, let's see what's gonna happen. And then I think he changed it. I don't know.
So rumor is that they actually switched him because our server was getting overloaded and figured that everybody was, there to follow him. So they pulled him. It
may have happened. I wouldn't be surprised.
Maybe.
But it's gonna happen with company or rather guild focused games like this, which features heavy PvP. There are going to be content creators that have millions of followers, jumping into this game, and they will bring thousands of players just with them. So I'm curious to see how they are going to handle it. I mean, ESO is not that big a deal because it has a mega server system. Everyone is already in the same server. It's just instanced, and you never really run into 500 people at a time. It just doesn't happen because it instances everyone, and the activities are limited to certain numbers, so there's no point in getting that many people together in the first place. But New World is heavily PvP focused. Like, one person could technically control an entire server, every single zone, with the amount of people they have.
There's nothing stopping them.
Mm-hmm. So I'm curious how they are gonna. I mean, if the land mass is actually 5-6 times bigger than what we saw in the preview event, it's gonna take literally 1,000 people to do that. So I guess that's one way to prevent that from happening, because even in the preview event, it was big. It was just running.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, I mean, you figured, we had that Asmongold. Yeah. We had Asmongold playing. I saw Summit 1G playing. I think we had Shroud playing as well. I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch of other streamers that were playing. I know there were. And I think at one point there was 150,000 people watching on Twitch.
Yeah. It was nuts. At the top for at least a few days. Mm-hmm. The game is definitely super hyped. Oh, I lost where I was. There
I
you
felt
go.
bad for Crowfall because Crowfall came out and did their release for their beta, and then this came out and everybody just left Crowfall. just
Oh yeah.
I mean, even most of ESO streamers were just playing New World preview. Like ESO stream team members, partnered ones, and whatnot. They were all in New World.
Yeah.
Well, not all, but most of them.
Well, think
I,
of it this way: we've all been itching for an MMO.
Yeah.
Anything, anything, we'll take it.
Yep.
I mean, I love Elder Scrolls Online, and I don't think I will ever stop playing Elder Scrolls Online. But I've been playing ESO for 6 years, almost non-stop, and I really am looking forward to something new. Now, Ashes of Creation, it's years away still. That's gonna be a long, long time later. And ESO has been out for several years. So we are at that point, the perfect moment for a proper, solid MMORPG to swoop in and just take the stage. And I really hope New World becomes that MMORPG.
it's looking really good.
It does have the potential.
Survival pieces out of it, right? They took a lot of that survival out and really focused more on the MMO piece to it.
Mhm.
And I like that survival balance, right? Where you don't have to eat food or you have to drink water, right? But if you don't, you're not going to replenish your health.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I like that aspect of it. It's not going to kill you. Oh, I guess it could.
Yeah, but I like that. Like, I was going around, going to a quest area. I got, you fight a bunch along the way because, the fast travel is expensive. It uses this unique crafting currency type thing, Azoth. So you run there, and every now and then you get into a fight, and by the time you get to the area that your actual quest is, you have like 20% health. So I did spend a lot of cooking. So I had like 4 food buffs on me at all times, and my health was going up like crazy. I was taking less damage from various type of enemies. I had my defense increased, health regeneration increased. Cooking really, really works. Now, I would like some extra survival things because the game world is absolutely beautiful. It would add to that immersion if I had to eat and whatnot, like hunt and eat while I'm out in the wilderness. It would just add to that immersion for me rather than being a gameplay mechanic.
I like being able to drop a camp, right? Not just to respawn at, which is important, but to be able to cook what you needed to cook, right? When you cook those buffs, that's what I liked, right? So I would get somewhere or almost to somewhere, so in case. Well, one time I almost got somewhere and my wife sort of distracted me, but all of a sudden I died, so I didn't get to camp. But so before I get somewhere, I drop a camp and then I make some buffs. And that's what I liked, right? The ability to drop a camp wherever I happen to be. ESO, you don't need to do that, right? There's usually a spot you can respawn right there, but that to me helped make it feel a little different, more survival-ish, was to drop a camp.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, in general, New World makes you more like play on the edge compared to, say, Elder Scrolls Online or other MMORPGs, because the consequences to dying is a bit more severe. Like, first of all, repairing your gear is not easy. You gotta salvage a lot of items to get those repair kits. So you don't want your gear to break constantly. And running back to a quest area, unless like you dropped your camp nearby, takes time. Like if you forget putting up your camp and die a few times and have to run back the same 10-minute distance again and again, it's sad. So
how about you get somewhere and you're like, oh, I'm gonna pop my camp, and it's like, shit, now I need 5 wood and 2 flint. It's like,
And just as you are collecting them, you start getting attacked, and you're like, oh no, not like this, No.
Brought a bunch of aggro with them, and they ran by and they caught your aggro, right? Yeah, that's right. Their aggro radius has to be brought in a little bit. I mean, you have like 6 blocks away, right? Wait a minute.
see him running towards you. It's like, oh, come on, man.
I mean, really, come on.
Or you're doing a PvP mission and you don't have your camp set up and you see that plus sign running towards you from afar and it's like, oh no.
Quick, drive it. Where's the flint? Oh, crap.
I'm out.
I'm out. Yeah,
At that point, like, do you hide or do you continue putting up your camp rapidly?
Yeah.
It's definitely has potential. Like once they add more and polish the already existing things, it's.
I think it's better than a lot of games that are out there now in release.
Oh yeah,
I agree.
Definitely.
I was just going to say that. And I mean, honestly, what's the main things they have to add, right? So they have to address some of the balancing for the wars and the invasions, as well as maybe some of the weapon mechanics, which isn't terrible, right? It still felt good. And the big thing being the quest. I mean, that's really all they really have to polish. The game's great. The aesthetics of it are amazing. The sound's incredible.
Oh, absolutely. You can hear the wolves a distance away, and you know when they're coming close because you can hear them, right? So they even have Doppler effect when you can hear them running by.
Oh, I know. So cool.
Hilarious.
The only complaint I have about the audio is the music that keeps playing over and over when you're fighting something, and it's the same song.
They're gonna need to change that.
I didn't notice that because I generally play games with my own music. Like I mute the game's music and turn on my own. So I did the same with New World as well. I didn't notice that.
I might have to take that advice.
I don't think change the game's cues, right? Because a lot of the cues for New World, the different monsters, what do they call them, are gonna their audio cues are before they attack you. And so if you're through the dark, because there wasn't a whole lot of way to make light, which is ridiculous, right? You need some sort of light spell, but then you have one. They don't have a torch even, right? Well, you have, they were audio cues, so that's why I had the headphones on, and I could hear audio cues, so I had to listen to that music over and over, and over, which almost as bad as Animal Crossing with my wife playing next to me. Animal Crossing with that music going on all the time.
Oh, gosh.
Not as bad. Close.
Yeah, and that brings up another point. No torch at all, right? I mean, you have a fire stick. I mean, there's got to be... They should put something in there with the fire stick.
Yeah, you need some sort of light source there. Yeah. I'm not sure why they chose not to have that.
I mean, it's more like a quality of life thing, so it's probably not a priority, but I can see them adding it later on.
It's easy. It's an easy add.
Yeah. Maybe like a lantern, even, considering like this game would support a nice lantern, considering its setting and theme.
Yeah.
I say it's an easy add, but you two would be, the game developers would be the one that actually say it.
They have the effects already, right? So it's a matter of, come on. I mean, so I did a little bit in Lumberyard, right? They have a torch. It's not like they have, right? They have one in their test game, so we have a torch. It's not like they can't add it.
Just give it to me. I mean, the easiest way to do it.
I'm to see about mounts.
Yeah. I mean,
there's a huge outcry for mounts on the forums, and I don't know. I don't know. I think or feel like it'll ruin that feel.
Well, see, it's the same thing, but people would choose not to use a mount.
True.
Right? It's like people complain that I don't want people to fly because it'll ruin the game. Well, don't fly. If you think it'll ruin your game, don't fly. Don't ride the mount, right? That's your choice. It's like saying using an arrow over somebody's head will ruin my quest. Well, take the arrow away. Don't look at it. Take the mini compass away, right? Whatever. But don't take it away from somebody else who wants to have it if they're going to put it in the game anyways. But that's the game developer's choice.
Someone actually made a good point about that under one of the most recent From the Ashes episodes you guys recorded. About the quest breadcrumbs, and I guess it applies to having the mounts as well. So yes, there's the option to remove them, right? If you don't like the mount, don't use the mount. Or if you don't like the quest breadcrumbs, just turn them off in the settings or whatever, so you have a more immersive experience. The thing is, when they add those, they will have to balance for having those. For example, if there are quest breadcrumbs, the story writers or the quest writers might cut back on having more detailed explanations because there are breadcrumbs. Even if you disable them, by design, you might lose some of that effect. And same with the mounts. You look like you're about to say something.
Well, no, I'm waiting for you to finish, so go ahead.
All right.
Because I heard the point. Go ahead.
And if you have mounts, for example, and the game, for example, there's a timer quest with a timer on. Now, not that we have it right now, but there might be just example out of my end. There's a quest with the timer. It's going to have 10-minute time because there are mounts in the game. Whereas if you don't use mount, you won't even make it to the quest area, for example. So certain things will be tailored towards having those quest breadcrumbs or having those mounts or not having them. So it's sort of the concept of just turning them off becomes a bit like you're putting yourself at a disadvantage when you do that at that point.
So my only counter, not my only, but the counter to that is it is the responsibility of the game and the quest designers to say, as you're building those quests, you can't take the crutch of the quest arrow and take those things out. So when you're building the quest and you're building those designs, you don't have that, right? Or you have to make sure your designers don't have that. So that's something you have to build into your agile model if you're using agile, or you build into your scope document that says you're going to build these quests with this ability to do it this way. And when you do a review as the product owner, or whichever way you want to build it, you're going to have to review it in such a way that you're not taking those out. Because you're right, if you don't have a focus on keeping it there, human nature would be to build toward the easier way. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to be true to the way of having it with and without it, you just make sure it's in there to be caught of or to be thought of that way. The very same similar situation when we have our testers set up and we have something going on and we want the users to do it this way and the users to do it the other way, we have to make sure the usability tests cover both ways. Mm-hmm. And we tell a developer, here it is. And yeah, you have to develop A, but you have to develop B too. You can't just do A because A is easier. B is also a path. You have to do both. And then the tester has to test both. And then you have the usability tester has to go, well, yeah, we'll test A, we'll test B. And then, well, what about C that nobody else thought of? So yeah, it's a function of the user design and the quest designer to make sure that they don't fall into that trap. But I see the point, but there's a way to make sure that point doesn't happen. And that's, unfortunately, if you fall into we're going to get it done in so many months, no matter what happens, they don't always follow those rules.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is, yeah. It, like, what you said is how it's supposed to be, but at this rate, people don't have too much trust in, especially the AAA level companies when it comes to actually delivering on those, because there's always that pressure from up above, the financing, the stockholders, whatever, that just push things to come out early, and most of those due process things that just got looked over.
And that's the same thing. We have the same problem where I'm working, right? Was we still have people pushing down to get this done under budget and time, but it still boils down to the very developer, right, or the designer, the architect. The rules, you gotta follow the process, and if the process isn't right, that's where it's going to go wrong the very beginning, right? And that it's going to start down there, and it's going to go way off the path. So if you aren't following it from the beginning, that's when you're going to get 6 months, 8 months, a year, or 2 years down the road and go, whoops, we're not going to be on time because we didn't follow the process from the beginning.
Yeah.
mean, I've done it many times both ways. So believe me, I've made the right way. So I've done it. So I know what now my job is to sit with folks and say, okay, yeah, we screwed the pooch on that one. So how do we not do it the next time? How do we fix it this time? 2 weeks ago, I just sat with somebody and they said, well, we're going to do it this way. I said, no, we did that 2 weeks ago and look what happened, right? So we're not going to do that again. This is what we're going to do. And again, they're just learning, right? Because everybody has to learn. And this is where you'd want that. You'd hope someone like Amazon would have that foresight to say, let's teach these folks the right way. Because then when you do have developers, you can teach the next developer, and the next developer becomes a continual circle. And you have these developers who can make these AAA games that are AAA.
Yeah.
Sure. I never would have thought of it that way. But it makes sense. Having to have both paths, right?
Yeah.
Or three.
And then they will always come up with another path, right? And when you have kids, you'll figure this. There's always something you didn't think about.
Why?
Why?
Well, so Ark, let me ask you this: when you say breadcrumbs, right? So how would you define breadcrumbs for a quest? That is.
For me, basically, the breadcrumbs. I guess it's more of an intense or excessive version of it. But Elder Scrolls Online, it basically shows you what you are supposed to do, like every single thing. So there are two types of it in ESO. There are the ones that are within the quest, and they're like, so if the quest says open a bottle, you have a quest marker on the bottle, like specifically.
I gotcha.
And then there's the other version that just ties one quest to the next one. It's a different marker that just like you finish this quest and it just shows you where the next one is, and then the next one is, and then the next one is. Now, I don't think they can do that at least with the current setup in New World, the next one concept, because there is no storyline to follow. Every quest is pretty much individual from what I've seen. So it's not like there's a main storyline that you can just follow, because at some point I had so many quests from so many different settlements on me, I had no idea what I was doing.
There is a main storyline.
It's
a starter one, right?
Yeah, there is a main storyline that you could do subtasks from the cities, different settlements. There is a main storyline that could get you through.
Okay, then they need a breadcrumb for it.
Yeah, I got you to 18 about ish, right? So I think they're going to make that one go further, right?
Yeah.
But that's one that you start out with the captain, and that one keeps going.
Oh.
And hopefully they'll continue that one to explain the whole story of Artam.
The history, right? Storms, let me
And how
ask
to
you that.
say the word.
Right.
Okay,
So
then they need a proper...
What's your definition of breadcrumb storms?
Well, mine's very similar to Ark's, right? But because I get two different ways to think about it. So breadcrumbing quest and breadcrumbing on web pages are two different things, but they're both function the same thing. They're to get you to follow a trail without thinking too harshly how to get there. Whether it's an arrow above something, whether it's words in a quest, whether it's words on a page, it's to get you to go somewhere and allow you to get back to where you were going.
So did New World not have that? Because if I recall, they had that in the top.
They had the direction where the quest was, so like a little arrow, but they didn't have an arrow above the guy that you had to kill or that you had to talk to, right? They also
got you to that area.
They got you that area, right? So they had a directional where the quest is, so you could direct you to the quest. So you could call that. I wouldn't call that breadcrumb. I'd call that a directional area, right? A directional thing. But I wouldn't call it a breadcrumb. But I would say that their next step is very easy to do, right? So that in a breadcrumb situation, in one of the quests, you had to kill the top guy and the whatever ancient monument. Well, when you get to the top of the monument, there'd be an arrow above the guy's head, right? I mean, so it'd be very easy to go to the next step on that.
So New World has bread morsels.
Yeah, we'll call it that, right? Now, to be a true breadcrumb, you could lose it too, right? But, we're not going to go the Hansel and Gretel route, so we'll go there.
I actually would love if there were at least a bit of breadcrumbs, because some of the quests are really, like, they really did frustrate me, because it says
They were vague.
they were vague, and it would just say grab a diseased corn, right? That one I remember because it took me 2 days to find where that corn was. Now I would go to I went to the area. It's a farm, right? And I'm like, okay, the corn is probably in this farm because I'm at a farm area. It has to be somewhere here. I'm running around. There's no corn. I'm running around. There's no corn. I'm checking barrels. I'm going there. I'm rotating around. I'm going to the other farms. There's just no corn. There are pumpkins, but there's no corn. Apparently, there's just one node of corn in the farm, and it's always collected, so I never see it. It doesn't even say like depleted corn node or something like that. It's just a visual, and I don't know what a harvested corn looks like in real life, so I didn't register it. I was like, it took me 2 days. So I ignored the quest. Every time I was passing through the area, I looked around a bit. And one of the times, I was lucky enough that the corn was there, so I was able to pick it up. I was like, oh, so that's the corn.
Make it feel like an old-time quest, right, that had less breadcrumbs because it didn't tell you everything. It didn't give you everything.
Yeah, but
that's what, true, right? That's sort of like what you're talking about when you want to go back to old quests, that they don't give you everything. Or think about some of the books from the 15th century. They assume knowledge in the 15th century, 14th, that we don't have, right? So when you read them, you go, what? What in the world are you talking about? And you're reading some of these quests, you're like, what? What are you talking about? Because this is a whole different world. So some of these quests should be, what am I supposed to do? Right?
Head in the town and talk to Steve. Where's Steve?
What is this again? Yeah, I mean, some of them are like, go find Artificer Oaks, right?
Oh,
and like, didn't tell you where it was, and so I Googled it, but it didn't say in this settlement. And sometimes, not always,
I went to the wrong settlement.
Right? I did too. So I ran across the entire country. Wrong settlement. He's not here. I'm going, what in the, where's this Artificer Oaks guy? Right? He's not here. So sometimes, that's a problem with having this quests that aren't very specific without the breadcrumbs, is you take some time. Mm-hmm. And nowadays we're sort of lacking in time, either by choice or just because we're impatient, right? We want to get to the action. We want to get to the end and not enjoy the journey. But that's a choice. So sure. We complain when we don't get the breadcrumbs. We complain when we get the breadcrumbs. So it's sort of a pick and choose.
Yeah, but I think there can be a balance, or like it's a design issue in my opinion. Like if you don't give me the breadcrumbs, it's fine. I mean, Elder Scrolls Morrowind, like it was it's a very old game, but it was one of the, I guess, most tedious games when it came to finding where a quest was, because they would give you these vague directions. An NPC would come up to you like, so you have to go to this cave, which is if you pass the bridge and turn right, or maybe was it left? Anyway, so you pass this and that, and it would give you this vague direction, but at least there was some direction. So in that corn example, if the quest said collect diseased corn from whatever's farm, right? Then I would know that I would like camp in that spot and just wait and watch the farm until something spawns. Your hand
like that. It could just say, collect diseased corn to the north of whatever settlement, right? Or just to the north of whatever settlement.
Instead, it just gave me that quest marker, which was pointing at the farm, but I stood around like 30 minutes trying to find a corn, and I couldn't. And then I was like, wait, am I even in the right place? Because the quest only says, get corn. Like, it doesn't have... if you're not doing... Yeah, if you're not doing breadcrumbs...
Ark hasn't eaten corn since.
if you're not doing breadcrumbs, your quest journal should be properly written instead of just giving me bullet points of what I need to do. It should say, I don't know, like explain what I'm supposed to do. And same with the artificial oak example. I also suffered with not finding who, like the NPCs that I was going to turn my quest to. Yeah, it's immersive to not maybe have a breadcrumb over them, but I don't want to play the game and do my quests by having a notebook next to me and taking notes like I'm studying for an exam. Like, I
agree with
my
that.
character shouldn't be dumb enough to forget every single person he meets. Like, my quest journal should says, turn the quest to Artificial Oak in First Light. I don't remember the settlement names ever, whatever. Like, maybe don't give me the quest marker, but at least write it in the quest journal so that I know where to go, instead of Googling, where is Artificial Oak? Where is this NPC? Where is this NPC every single time? Because running around takes time as well. Like, I don't want my game times 50% to be just trying to find one NPC or one corn. So,
I was there.
yeah. I mean, breadcrumbs, I'm okay with having them or not having them. I don't care much either way. But if I'm not gonna have them, my quest journal should be written properly. Or the game, in-game, should have taking notes capability. Like, because I don't like writing in real life. And I don't want to alt-tab to a notepad to take notes. At least give me a journal in the game.
I think you nailed it with, as long as the quests are written the right way, right? That's a simple, they already know they need to fix that, or they need to address that, not fix it. But
Yeah.
And that's an art.
That's the way. Yeah, for sure.
That is.
And that's actually, so they released like a Thank You Adventurers post-preview article after just like on the last day of event, I think September 3. So in that article, they do mention that they will be adding more mid to end game content and features that are fun and polishing what they already have available. And so here it says, in particular, we are working towards adding more in the areas of game modes, landmass, which we kind of talked about, like it's going to be 5 times this or something like that. AI variety, thank you. Additional weapon types, and quest variety, and more. So they are working on pretty much everything we talked about. But whether will they make it to spring 2021, the release, or how polished they're going to be, obviously we do not know. There's going to be there's going to be a new testing in November, though. So I guess some of these we will see then. It is also mentioned in that article. It doesn't give a date, so it could be the end of November, start of November. I hope it's more towards the start of November. Because I'm really itching to hop back into the game now. Yeah, so they are working on additional weapon types. I guess the alpha did have extra weapons. That's what I read on Reddit or something like that. But I do not know. AI variety, that's also good because right now we have 2 enemy types in terms of the attacks they do. One ranged and one melee. But it should be easy for them to add it. Now, what I'm curious about is game modes. Do they mean wars and invasions, I wonder, by game modes?
I think so.
Yeah, I think they do. Because did you guys run across an invasion? I mean, I think we all saw wars, but I did actually run into an invasion.
I watched it like on someone's stream, but I didn't actually get into an invasion.
Yeah, so I'm curious because it's all corrupted, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I think that's an awesome aspect of the game.
Yeah, it looked really fun and difficult as well. Like, it looked fun. And by game mode, I wonder if they're going to be doing stuff like... Because when you say game mode, by default, my brain goes to, like, domination, capture the flag, capture the point, things like that. And I'm thinking of it in terms of New World and its style. And I'm like, capture the flag in New World would look weird. But could also be fun. Like,
Kind of was though, wasn't it? Because aren't the wars you have to capture the 3 points?
no. So that's capture the point. When I mean capture the flag is like run to someone's base or whatever, grab the flag and just run back.
I gotcha.
It could be fun and like I don't know if they mean it that way. Wars with different game modes. So one war you win with I don't know capture the point. I guess it doesn't make sense that you win a war with capture the flag. What do? You storm the castle, grab the flag, and run back out. But I'm curious to see what they have cooking in terms of these quote unquote game modes that they are working on. I guess we'll see. Now, before we wrap up, there's also some, for the fun of it, some stats from the preview event that they released on the National Video Games Day that I want to mention. So these are, let's see, preview week adventure achievements. 11.5 million missions completed. That's 11.5 million missions all same. So that's painful. 1,200 total wars over the span of 10 days. So that's quite a good number in my opinion. Yeah.
That's a lot.
400 total invasion. Also, I want to say, what is up with 4 p.m. wartime? I mean, it worked out for me, even though I didn't get selected into any wars. It was 11 p.m. my time because I'm playing in a wrong time zone. But 4 p.m. wartime. How are people gonna? I mean, people were making that, but how are the working folk is gonna make the 4 p.m. war/invasion time? I
couldn't.
Yeah, I'm curious what the idea behind that is, or whether if it's gonna stick. Because I remember at the initial idea, at least I thought, was that you would pick a time frame within the next, I don't know, 24 hours or something, but it was going to be picked or scheduled, something like that. Now, every single war during the preview event was 4 p.m. That may have been so that Amazon Game Studios would be at work, so they can actively monitor it.
Well, I wonder if it's that. Well, isn't Amazon out west? Aren't they West Coast?
I have no clue.
Yeah. I don't know where their game studios is, but
game studio, but I'm assuming it's out west.
So I guess what I'm thinking is, COVID, right? So a lot of kids were home. A lot of working adults are working out of home, but I don't know. I mean, I thought you were to pick a window. It gave you like a 2 or 3 hour window.
Mm-hmm. That's what I thought as well. Yeah. They may have mentioned this, and that I may have missed it. The information, but my active theory, unless they mentioned it, is that for the preview when they wanted it to be within the work hours, they can actively monitor the servers, the data, the performance, and things like that. The wars have the effect of the wars. So that's my active theory, but I do not know.
Oh, what about the EU servers?
EU servers were 4 p.m. as well.
Really?
But, yeah. So everything was 4. Well, then that doesn't make. Well, it would still fit. So EU 4 p.m. is still within the work hours of North America. So there's with the Central Europe, there is 6-hour difference to East Coast.
That does work out. Huh.
I get maybe, I don't know. But then you have the Oceanic server, the Pacific server. That I do not know when the war was. Yeah, if it was 4 p.m. as well, then that's not gonna be within the work hours.
I'm curious because I was always under the impression, from what I had read before, was that it was a window that you picked to have that war in, and maybe it was bugged. Maybe it just picked the first hour of that window. I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe they may have disabled it, or they may have changed that completely for this part, along with the So preview week enemies defeated. 295.5 million total enemies defeated. 79.5 million corrupted, and 8 million turkeys got defeated.
I think I killed half.
I know I just would walk by him and just kill him.
I remember people just like in the chat all the time, especially in the first couple days. Where are the turkeys? Those are people who are asking those turkeys, man. They got they were targeted more than anything else in the game. Most popular faction was apparently Syndicate. Most members and governed the most territories. This makes me sad because Marauders look like Nords, and I like Marauders. But yeah, apparently Syndicate had it all. So, Adventurers versus Gators. 1.3 million alligators killed by adventurers, and 94,000 adventurers killed by alligators. I'm in the 94,000 area there.
Alligator's pretty tough.
Yeah, I'm one of them as well.
I tried the solo one, didn't go well. It was a bad idea. I sneaked up on it. I was like, how bad can it be? I mean, I can stagger it all day, right? No, it's just...
When we get back in, I'll show you a spot where you can hang up on a deck and just keep shooting them.
Oh.
You can solo them easy.
I wonder if... So, the game will have some sort of PvE focused, but at the same time, you can climb to a lot of spaces and just shoot things or... like shoot arrows at things. I wonder if there's gonna be a lot of exploits in that sense. I mean, in Elder Scrolls Online, when you do that, the creature just resets. It's like, I can't reach there, I'm just gonna go back to where I was, and runs away, and you can't hit it. In New World, you can just climb somewhere and just shoot at things until they're dead. They don't reset, they can't get to you.
They'll reset, they'll fix that.
I hope they do.
Otherwise the PvE aspect can be a bit weird. Also, 430 million hemp gathered, apparently. This was, out of all, this was the boring stat in my opinion, but they posted it with such class. It was like, oh, and a bonus with the sunglasses emoji. So they were proud of this one. But yeah, that's pretty much the things we were gonna... Actually, before we end, I want to ask, what do you guys think about not being able to jump? I'm so sad. I want to jump.
That's weird.
It doesn't feel right.
I know, right? It's like... I want to jump.
If you're standing still and I hit spacebar, I want to jump.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I don't care about rolling if I'm running. That's fine.
Yeah, and that's why I never got through Witcher 1 and 2. And I never played Witcher 3 either because I didn't play the first two. I can't jump. If I can't jump, it's just because I've been playing Elder Scrolls series for as long as I can remember. I started into RPGs, I started into MMORPGs. It's all started with Elder Scrolls with me. And for years, for more than half my life, I've been able to jump in games. Not being able to do it now in New World is just so weird. I kind of understand why they didn't do it, because someone bunny hopping around while you are trying to hit them with a collision box, like an action combat setting, could be very annoying. But at the same time, I really want to be able to jump. Maybe make it cost stamina, you know, like dodge. It should cost stamina as well, and like prevent bunny hopping with every time you jump. The next jump is slower, less powerful, and things like that. But I really want to be able to jump.
You should be able to jump, yes.
So yeah, anything you guys want to add or talk about?
I just can't wait till the next preview. I'm excited about it.
Nor can I, and I got a list for the next episode.
All right. So next episode, we might not do this weekly for a while, unless there's unless there's a steady stream of information from Amazon. Like, if we don't have anything to talk about, we are not going to do an episode and sit here, talk about the same things over and over again for an hour. But once there's a steady stream of information, this will be a weekly show. This one is not live streamed, but the future episodes will be live streamed if everything goes well. You can follow that at twitch.tv/Dungeon Crawler Network. All of our shows are live streamed, and this will be as well. Anything else I want to mention? So this will be on YouTube at first initially, while I set up the RSS feeds. So then it will be on Spotify, iTunes, I think Google Podcasts. I think I can add it to Google Podcasts. And those are the main things, so I'm not going to bother with adding it to SoundCloud or Stitcher, things, Player FM. Looking at the data from our other shows, it doesn't really matter. Like Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts are the main three platforms people watch, but depending on popularity, we might add it to more platforms that you can listen to. But until then, it will be on YouTube, and that is youtube.com/Dungeon Crawler Network. So that's the things I wanted to mention for the first episode. I think I covered it all. Well, if not, you will find all the information down below wherever you are watching or listening to this. Or visit dungeoncrawlernetwork.com and you will be able to find all that information there as well. So, Storms, final thoughts, and where can people find you?
Final thoughts, I'm excited about the game coming back. I enjoyed the alpha. I really enjoyed this preview. I'm very much looking forward to the next preview and the final release coming, hopefully when it says it's going to come. Where they can find me at the Dungeon Crawler Network Discord. They can find me at stormslord at twitter.com.
All right, Sivian.
I am super excited to get in game, right? I've been waiting for an MMO to come out, just something to tickle or fancy, if you will. To find me, if you want, I'm over at Dungeon Crawler Network on Discord, like Ark said, one of the council members, and love to see you guys over there.
All right, well, you can find me anywhere that is Arkaniir, ARKHANIIR, made up name, so if you see it, it should be me, unless someone had the same name generation thing I had in mind. You can also follow everything we do over at dungeoncrawlernetwork.com, including our other shows and streams and whatnot. Links to our social media, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Discord. We have multiple Twitter accounts. For this one, you can follow twitter.com/NW Compendium. That is New World Compendium because it's a long name, it didn't fit. So NW Compendium. Be sure to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Dungeon Crawler Network if you want to help support the show and keep us going and keep us doing what we love to do. In the future, we will ask you to leave an iTunes review and whatnot as well, but not at the moment because the RSS feeds are not set up yet. So yeah, check on over dungeoncrawlernetwork.com. You can find everything there, and we will see you all on the next episode of New World Compendium. Have a nice week, night, and well, maybe even a month, but I don't think so. It'll probably be a next episode at least within the next 2 weeks. So yeah, see you all later, everybody.